Hi, I'm Father Jim Forson, and I'd like to offer you some reflections on the gospel of the baptism of our Lord. Years ago, when I was in seminary formation, part of that formation involved apostolic works in the community, and for about a year I worked with these emotionally disturbed children. And part of that was being like a Big Brother program and helping them with homework and playing sports with them. And I remember this one baseball game where I was playing with all the kids, and these kids were like 10 years old, some of them maybe as old as 12. They were young. And so when I came to bat, I didn't want to, swing hard or anything and show up these little guys. But when they saw that I wasn't, swinging the bat the way a grown man could, they all started saying to me, "Hey, no, play right. Play right." In other words, knock that ball out of the park like we know you can. And so I played right. I played the way that someone my age ought to be playing. Right. And I get that. I think we all get that. I was lucky enough, blessed enough, fortunate enough to be present at the 2024 World Series, the first game when, if you follow baseball or remember this, Freddie Freeman hit the go-ahead, walk-off, grand slam home run. And when he hit that ball, the crowd went wild. And it stayed wild for 5, 10, I'm not kidding, 15 minutes. Because that was Freddie Freeman hitting that. And we all know that he could do something like that, and he did do something like that, which is all that we wanted him to do. Nobody in those stands wanted him to bunt his way onto first base. No, you're Freddie Freeman. Hit a home run, and he did. Be yourself. Be that who you truly are. And some of that is what is going on in the gospel today. The baptism of Jesus, which was an event that was disturbing for the early church, as it should be for us. Because if Jesus is being baptized, well then people might think that he was just like the rest of us, a sinner, in need of forgiveness, not God. And people wanted, still do, God to be God, above it all, separate from it all, in control of it all. And so why in the world was Jesus being baptized in the first place? It was troubling for the early church, which is why we see each one of the Gospels referencing this event in his life, and each of them approaching it and trying to explain it from a different angle, as we hear Luke doing today in the gospel, giving us an insight into why Jesus was baptized. And so why? Well, we believe that, as we have said so many times in our teaching, that the Word became flesh, that God became one of us. Or as Isaiah says, he pitched his tent among us. He took his place among us. God did not come into this world dressed up like a human being, pretending to be human. He didn't enter humanity by trying to skate across its surface. Rather, he dug his fingers deep into humanity. He was one as are we, fully human, in all ways but sin. And so that we would know what he would know of what it meant to be human. So that he would know the joy of being loved as all of us know that joy. And likewise, he would know the pain of loss as all of us know what it's like to lose someone we love who dies. That he would know what it's like to be cared for and comforted, the woman who washed his feet, just as all of us know what it's like to be cared for and comforted And we also know what it's like to be rejected and ridiculed and scorned, as did he. And he would know what it would be like to suffer, as we all know what it's like to suffer. He wasn't pretending to be human. He was fully human and wanted to take his place among us, even to the point of entering that Jordan and being baptized, showing that he was one of us, even if that meant that people might misunderstand it and not be able to see him for what he truly was. And not just that, by taking his place among us and coming up out of that Jordan, a voice would then be heard saying, "You are my beloved Son." And that word beloved, that doesn't mean something like, "Gee, I really like you." No. Beloved means you are highly valued. To be beloved is to be near to one's heart. And by Jesus taking his place fully among mankind, God would treasure that and see Jesus as being highly valued, as being near to God's own heart, his beloved. And just as Jesus was God's beloved one, so too would God be Jesus' beloved, as would be anyone who followed Jesus, as would be those of us baptized as he was baptized. We are God's beloved sons and daughters. But tell me, do you believe that? Because that can be a hard thing to believe. It can be hard to believe that I am highly valued by God. Sometimes it's easier to believe that I'm not, or because of my sins, I'm less than, or, I wonder if God even hears my prayers, or he seems to value others. They seem to get the breaks that I don't get. And like any child squabbling with their parents, it sometimes can be tempting to feel that you love my brother more than me, or you give my sister breaks that you never give me. You love them more than me. And we can, ever so many different ways, complain to God in that same fashion. You love them more than me. And it can be hard to believe that, no, we are all God's highly favored children. And just as any parent would say to that child, "I don't love your sister more than you. I love you all the same." So too, we are all God's beloved sons and daughters. He doesn't love the saints more than the sinners. He doesn't love the Catholics more than the Jews. He doesn't love Americans more than Mexicans. He doesn't play favorites. He loves us all as his beloved ones. And if we were to believe that, well, it would change everything. It would change the way that I relate with God, because if I am his beloved, well, then he would be beloved to me. And that relationship would change the way that I see this world, that everyone is God's beloved son and daughter. It would change the way I would treat them, the way I would speak of them. It would change the world. The American author Ray Carver, when he was contemplating his soon approaching death, wrote down, "So, did you get out of life that which you wanted?" "I did." "And what was it that you wanted?" "To feel myself beloved. To feel myself beloved upon this earth." And that is what we are. We are beloved. We are God's beloved ones upon this earth. Do you believe that?